I died watching TV and woke up trapped in hell.
My name is Shayla Renee Thompson. I am 28 years old. I died for 12 minutes on March 3, 2024 in Houston, Texas.
For years, I lived two lives. Before I begin, if God brought you here, subscribe and stay with me. On Sundays, I stood in front of children at Greater Hope Baptist Church, teaching them about Jesus. I smiled, I prayed, I quoted scripture. I told them to guard their hearts, to stay pure, to keep their minds focused on things above. And I meant every word. I loved those kids. I loved God. But the truth is, I was lying to myself. Every night after the children went home, after the church doors closed, after my roommate fell asleep, I became someone else. I would sit on my couch in the dark, phone in hand, scrolling through streaming apps like I was searching for something I had lost. Netflix, Hulu, Max. I told myself I just needed to relax. I told myself I deserved it after a long day. I told myself it was harmless. But deep down, I knew. I knew the shows I was watching celebrated everything I had just taught against. Adultery, betrayal, revenge, violence. I watched characters lie, cheat, manipulate, and destroy each other. And I cheered for them. I laughed at their sins. I rooted for relationships built on lust. I normalized rebellion because it was wrapped in good cinematography and clever dialogue, and every single time I pressed play, I felt it. A quiet pull in my chest, a small voice whispering, "This is not for you." But I ignored it. I silenced it. I justified it. I told myself I was strong enough to separate fiction from faith. I told myself it did not affect me. I was wrong. The night before I died, I remember it clearly. It was Sunday, March 2nd, 2024. I had just finished teaching a lesson on Philippians 4:8. Whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, think about such things. I watched those children nod, take notes, repeat the verse back to me, and I felt proud. I felt like I was doing something good. But that night, I went home and did the exact opposite. I changed out of my church clothes, made myself comfortable on the couch, and opened my laptop. I had been waiting all week for the season finale of my favorite show, a drama series everyone was talking about. It was intense, it was addictive, and it was filled with everything God called sin. I did not care. I pressed play at 11:47 p.m. One episode turned into two. Two turned into three. The clock on my wall ticked past midnight, then 1 a.m., then 1:30 a.m. My eyes burned from the screen light. My body was exhausted, but I could not stop. Just one more episode, just one more scene, just one more... And then... it happened. It was 1:47 a.m. on March 3rd when everything changed. I was halfway through the finale, a scene I had been waiting for, two characters finally confronting each other, lies, accusations, betrayal. The music swelled, the tension built. I leaned forward, completely absorbed, my heart racing with the drama unfolding on the screen. And then, I felt it, a sharp pressure. Right behind my eyes, like something inside my head was expanding, pushing outward, trying to break through my skull. I blinked hard, shaking my head, thinking it was just eye strain from staring at the screen too long. But it did not go away. It grew stronger, sharper, hotter. I reached up to touch my forehead, and my hand was shaking. My vision blurred at the edges. The voices on the screen became muffled, distant, like I was underwater. I tried to stand, but my legs would not obey. My body felt heavy, wrong. Then the pain exploded. It was not like a headache. It was not like anything I had ever felt. It was like a bomb detonating inside my brain, white-hot, blinding, crushing. I gasped, but no sound came out. My hands flew to my head, gripping my skull, trying to hold myself together. But I was falling. The room tilted. The couch disappeared beneath me. I hit the floor hard. The laptop crashed beside me, still playing the show. I could hear the dialogue continuing, the dramatic music building to its climax, but I could not move. I could not breathe. My chest seized. My vision went dark at the edges, tunneling inward until all I could see was a tiny circle of light. And then nothing. Silence. Complete. Absolute. Silence. And then I was floating. I do not know how else to describe it. One moment I was on the floor, dying. The next moment, I was above it. I could see everything. My body lying motionless on the carpet, one arm stretched out, the other still pressed against my head. My eyes were open but empty. My chest was not moving. The laptop screen glowed beside me, still playing the finale. The characters were still talking, still lying, still destroying each other. And I was dead. I tried to scream, but I had no voice. I tried to move, but I had no body. I was there, but I was not. I could see my apartment, my couch. My Bible is sitting on the coffee table, unopened, buried under magazines and remote controls. And I could see myself, lifeless, gone. Then I heard her, my roommate. Her bedroom door opened. Footsteps. She was coming to check on me because she heard the crash. I wanted to warn her. I wanted to tell her I was okay. But I was not okay, and she was about to find out. She stepped into the living room and froze. "Shayla." Her voice was small, scared. She moved closer, her hand covering her mouth. She knelt beside my body, shaking my shoulder, calling my name louder. "Shayla! Shayla, wake up!" But I could not. I was not there anymore. She grabbed her phone. Her hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped it. 911. "Please. My roommate. She is not breathing." I do not know what happened. And then I felt it. A pull, not physical, spiritual, like invisible hands reaching through the floor, wrapping around my soul, dragging me downward. I tried to resist, but I had no strength. The apartment faded. The lights dimmed. My roommate's voice became an echo, and the darkness rose up to meet me. The darkness was not empty. I fell through it like I was sinking through water, but there was no water. Just heat, just pressure. Just the overwhelming weight of something I could not name pressing against every part of my soul. I tried to scream, but sound did not exist here. I tried to reach out, but my hands passed through nothing. I was falling, and I could not stop. Then the ground appeared. I did not land. I did not crash. I just was there, standing on solid ground that felt wrong, scorched, hot. The kind of heat that does not burn your skin but seeps into your bones, into your chest, into the deepest parts of you until you feel like you are burning from the inside out. I gasped for air, but every breath was thick, heavy, suffocating. The air tasted like smoke and ash and something else I could not identify, something that made my stomach turn, something that felt like despair. I looked down at my feet. The ground beneath me was dark stone, cracked and glowing faintly red, like molten rock cooling but never fully solidifying. Smoke rose from the cracks in thin wisps, curling upward into the darkness above. There was no sky, no ceiling, just endless black stretching in every direction. And then I heard them. Screams, faint at first, distant, like echoes from somewhere far away. But they grew louder, closer, more distinct. Not just one voice, dozens, hundreds, thousands, layered on top of each other in a chorus of agony that made my knees buckle. I stumbled forward, my hands trembling, my breath breaking into short, panicked gasps. Where was I? What was this place? This could not be real. This had to be a dream, a hallucination, my brain shutting down from the aneurysm. It had to be. But the heat reminded me it was not. The weight reminded me it was not. The screams reminded me it was not. I turned slowly, my legs shaking beneath me, and I saw them. Figures, thousands of them, standing in rows that stretched into the darkness as far as I could see. They were motionless, silent, but their eyes were wide, staring, fixed on something in front of them. Their mouths hung slightly open, and their faces were twisted in expressions I will never forget. Horror, regret, shame, despair. I took a step closer, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would shatter. The figures did not move, did not blink, did not breathe. They just stood there, staring. And then I saw what they were looking at. Screens, floating in the air before each soul was a glowing screen, flickering with images I recognized. Television shows, movies, scenes I had watched myself. But something was different. The screens were not just showing entertainment anymore, they were showing truth, spiritual truth, the kind of truth I had refused to see when I was alive. I moved closer to one of the figures, a woman. Her face was pale, drenched in sweat, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her screen showed a reality TV show I had watched before, a show filled with drama, gossip, backstabbing, and betrayal. But now, behind the glamorous cast and the dramatic music, I could see them. Demons. Shadowy figures moving behind the characters, whispering into their ears, celebrating every lie, every act of revenge, every moment of cruelty. They were not just watching the show, they were directing it, feeding it, using it, and the woman could not look away. Her eyes were locked on the screen, forced to see what she had ignored in life, forced to watch the spiritual poison she had consumed willingly, laughing at it, binge-watching it, normalizing it in her heart. And now she saw the truth. She saw what was really happening every time she pressed play. I stumbled backward, my breath catching in my throat. No, this could not be real. But I moved to another soul, a man. His screen showed a crime drama, a show I had watched too. But now, behind the detectives and the cases and the thrilling suspense, I could see the celebration of violence, the glorification of death, the mockery of life. Demons moved through every scene, whispering lies, the normalizing darkness, making evil look appealing. And the man, he wept. His face was twisted in anguish, his body shaking, but he could not close his eyes. He could not turn his head. He was trapped, forced to see what he had filled his mind with, forced to confront the truth he had ignored. I turned away, my legs giving out beneath me. I fell to my knees, my hands pressing against the scorched ground, my chest heaving with sobs I could not control. This was not a dream. This was not a hallucination. This was judgment. This was the consequence of choices. Choices I had made. Choices they had made. Choices we all made when we chose entertainment over holiness. And then I felt it. A presence, not human, not physical, but undeniable. It moved beside me and the air grew heavier. The heat intensified. The weight on my chest pressed down harder until I thought I would be crushed. I did not turn to look. I could not. My entire body froze. My hands trembled violently against the ground. And then a voice spoke. Not to my ears, to my soul. You taught my children about purity. The words cut through me like a blade, sharp, precise, undeniable. I gasped, my throat tightening, my chest collapsing inward. Tears burned my eyes, blurring my vision. I wanted to speak. I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to explain. But I had no words. No excuses, no defense. The voice continued, calm but filled with an authority that made every part of me tremble. But you filled your mind with impurity every night. No, that was not fair. I was a Sunday school teacher. I prayed, I read my Bible, I served in church, I loved God. I was not like these people. I was not. But the presence did not argue with me, it did not debate, it simply showed me. A veil lifted, a curtain I did not know existed, and suddenly, I could see. I saw myself, not as I wanted to be seen, not as I presented myself to the world, but as I truly was. I saw Sunday mornings, standing in front of children, teaching them about God's love, about purity, about guarding their hearts. My voice was strong, my smile was warm. I quoted Philippians 4:8. I prayed over them. I told them to think on things that are pure, lovely, admirable, and I believed it. But then the vision shifted. I saw Sunday nights, alone in my apartment. The lights dimmed, my phone in my hand, scrolling, searching, choosing. I watched myself click on the very shows I had just warned the children against. Shows that celebrated lies, that normalized adultery, that made revenge look justified, that turned manipulation into entertainment. I saw myself laugh at jokes that mocked marriage. I saw myself root for characters who lived in open rebellion against God. I saw myself binge episode after episode, season after season, ignoring the gentle pull in my chest, the quiet voice that whispered, "This is not for you." And every time that voice spoke, I silenced it. I justified it. I told myself I was strong enough to watch without being affected. I told myself it was just fiction, just entertainment, just a way to relax. But now I saw the truth. Every scene I watched rewired something in my heart. Every storyline I followed planted seeds I did not recognize. Seeds of discontent, seeds of comparison, seeds of compromise. My standards shifted. My desires changed. The things that once grieved me slowly stopped bothering me. The conviction I once felt faded into numbness. I had been teaching children to guard their hearts, while I left mine wide open to poison. The voice spoke again, and this time the weight of it drove me fully to the ground. My face pressed against the scorched stone, my body shook uncontrollably. What you watched did not stay on the screen. It entered your spirit and defiled your temple. A sob tore from my chest. Raw, broken, uncontrollable. I could not deny it. I could not defend it. Every word was true. Every accusation was deserved. I do not know how long I lay there, collapsed, crushed beneath the weight of truth I could no longer avoid. The heat pressed into my skin, the smoke filled my lungs, and the silence, the terrible, suffocating silence between the screams, wrapped around me like chains. I thought of all the times I sat in church, hands raised, eyes closed, singing about holiness, praying for God to use me, asking Him to make me more like Christ. And then I thought of all the nights I chose the world over Him, all the nights I fed my flesh what it craved and starved my spirit of what it needed, all the nights I told myself tomorrow I would stop. But tomorrow never came. The presence remained beside me, silent now, letting the weight of truth settle deep into my soul, and I understood. This was not random punishment. This was not God being cruel. This was the result of choices repeated, choices justified, choices that shaped eternity. I looked up slowly, my vision blurred by tears, and I saw the screens again, the souls trapped before them, and I realized I was looking at my own future. You cannot serve two masters. The words echoed through the realm, through my chest, through every part of me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to beg. I wanted to go back and undo every choice I had made. But I could not. Time was gone. The opportunity was gone. You chose entertainment over holiness. The truth of it crushed me. I had chosen comfort over conviction. I had chosen distraction over devotion. I had chosen the temporary pleasure of a screen over the eternal presence of God. And this is where that path leads. The heat intensified. The smoke thickened. And somewhere in the distance I heard my own voice, faint but clear, teaching children about Jesus, while my soul burned with the weight of hypocrisy I had refused to face. Then, the presence moved, and I saw more. The vision shifted, and I was no longer on the ground. I was standing in a different part of this realm, darker, heavier. The screams were louder here, more desperate, and the souls, they were not just watching screens anymore, they were living them. I saw a woman trapped in an endless loop of a scene from her favorite romantic drama. Over and over, she watched the affair unfold, the lies, the betrayal, the passion built on destruction. But now she felt it. She lived it. The pain of the betrayed spouse, the emptiness of the affair, the spiritual cost of what she had called romance. And she could not escape. The scene reset, again, and again, and again. I saw a man reliving every violent scene from every crime show he had ever watched. But now he was not the detective. He was the victim. He felt every blow, every shot, every moment of terror. And the demons around him laughed. They mocked him. You loved this. You called this entertainment. Now feel what you celebrated. My knees buckled again. I fell forward, my hands covering my face, my body shaking so violently I thought I would break apart. This was not just hell. This was personalized torment. This was souls forced to confront the fruit of what they had planted in their hearts. And I knew, if I stayed here, I would join them. I would stand before a screen showing every episode I had ever watched, every scene that rewired my heart. Every moment I chose the world's lies over God's truth, and I would be forced to see what I had refused to see in life, the demons behind every storyline, the spiritual poison in every episode, the slow death of my soul disguised as entertainment. I could not breathe. I could not think. I could only weep. Please, I whispered, my voice breaking. Please, I am sorry. I am so sorry. The presence was silent. The heat pressed closer. The screens flickered brighter. And I thought, this is it. This is where I stay. This is what I deserve. I had been given 1,000 chances to turn away, 1,000 convictions to obey, 1,000 moments where the Holy Spirit whispered, stop. And I ignored them all. Now, it was too late. But then, something changed. The heat. It grew unbearable. So intense I thought my spirit would disintegrate. The smoke choked every breath. My vision went dark. I thought this was the end. I thought I would remain here forever, trapped in the consequences of choices I could never undo. But then, light. Not gradual, not soft. A burst of brilliance so sudden it tore through the darkness like lightning splitting the sky. I threw my arms over my face, the brightness burning against my closed eyelids. The oppressive weight lifted, the suffocating heat pulled back, and a hand, strong, steady, undeniable, reached through the smoke and wrapped around my wrist. Your time is not finished. The voice was different now. Not the voice of judgment, not the voice of correction. This was the voice of mercy, of rescue, of hope I did not deserve but was being given anyway. I looked up, squinting through the light, and I could not see a face, only the outline of a figure, radiant and powerful, pulling me upward with a force that defied the gravity of hell itself. "You will warn them." The words hit my spirit like a command I could not refuse. The ground beneath me cracked, the screens around me flickered and faded. The souls remained frozen, still staring, still trapped. But I was being pulled away, upward, out. The ascent was violent. My body was yanked through layers of darkness, through smoke, through heat, through realms I could not name. My chest burned, my lungs screamed for air. Everything in me felt like it was being torn apart and rebuilt at the same time. I passed through the screens, through the souls, through the judgment, and with every second, one phrase echoed in my spirit. "You will warn them." I did not know who them was. I did not know how I would do it. I only knew I had been given something I did not deserve, a second chance, and I would not waste it. Then, pain. Blinding, crushing. Physical pain exploded in my skull like my head was being split open from the inside. My back arched violently. My mouth opened in a scream I could not hear. Air rushed into my lungs so fast it felt like fire tearing through my chest. "She is back! She is back!" Voices, human voices, distant, muffled, but real. My eyes flew open, bright lights, white ceiling, faces hovering over me in blue scrubs, a machine beeping frantically beside me, hands pressing on my shoulders, holding me down because my body was convulsing, shaking so hard the bed rattled beneath me. "Shayla, stay with us." "Can you hear me?" I tried to speak, but my throat was raw. My lips moved, but no sound came. Tears poured down my face, hot and uncontrollable. My entire body shook like I was freezing, but I was not cold. I was terrified. I was broken. I was alive. BP is stabilizing, pulse is back. She is responsive. A doctor leaned over me, shining a light in my eyes. I blinked, my vision blurry, my head pounding with a pain so intense I thought I might pass out again. But I did not. I stayed. I was here. I was alive. "Shayla, you are at Memorial Hermann Hospital. You had a brain aneurysm. You have been gone for 12 minutes. Do you understand?" 12 minutes. I had been dead for 12 minutes. But in that place, it felt like years. I nodded weakly, my breath coming in short, broken gasps. The doctor said something else, but I could not hear him. My mind was still there, still in the heat, still seeing the screens, still hearing the voice. "You will warn them." My roommate appeared beside the bed, her face streaked with tears, her hands gripping mine so tightly it hurt. She was saying my name over and over, but I could barely focus. All I could think about was what I had seen, what I had been shown, what I now knew to be true. I could not go back to the way I lived before. I could not pretend anymore. I could not ignore what had been revealed to me. The nurses moved around me, adjusting tubes, checking monitors, speaking in medical terms I did not understand. But none of it mattered. Nothing mattered except the weight still pressing on my chest. Not the weight of condemnation, but the weight of responsibility. I had been sent back for a reason, and I knew, with every fiber of my being, that I would never be silent again. The days after I woke up were the hardest of my life. The doctors called it a miracle. A rupture that is severe, 12 minutes without a pulse, no oxygen to the brain. They said I should have been brain dead. They said I should not have survived, but I did. And when they ran their tests, when they scanned my brain again and again, they found nothing. No damage, no bleeding, no explanation. But I knew why I was still here. I was discharged after 6 days. My roommate drove me home in silence. She kept glancing at me, her hands tight on the steering wheel like she was afraid I might disappear again. When we pulled into the parking lot of our apartment, I stared at the building for a long time before I got out of the car. This was where it happened. This was where I died. Walking back into that apartment felt like stepping into a tomb. Everything was the same. My keys on the counter, my shoes by the door, the blanket still crumpled on the couch where I had been sitting, and the TV, still mounted on the wall. Silent now, but haunting. I stood in front of it for what felt like an hour, my arms wrapped around myself, tears streaming down my face. That screen had been my escape, my comfort, my addiction. I had given it more of my time, more of my attention, more of my heart than I had ever given to God, and it almost cost me everything. I unplugged it that night. I took it off the wall. I deleted every streaming app from my phone, from my tablet, from my laptop. I canceled every subscription. My roommate watched me in silence, confusion written all over her face. She did not understand, not yet, but I did. I could not go back. The next Sunday, I walked into church for the first time since I died. People hugged me, they cried, they said they had been praying. The pastor asked if I wanted to share my testimony, but I was not ready. Not yet. I sat in the back row, my hands folded in my lap, and I wept through the entire service. I wept because I realized how close I had come to losing it all. I wept because I knew there were people sitting in that room, people I loved, people I had taught, who were living the same double life I had been living, and they had no idea where it was leading them. 3 weeks later, I finally told my pastor everything. I sat in his office and I broke. I confessed the years of compromise, the secret habits, the hypocrisy, the shows I watched that contradicted everything I claimed to believe, and I told him what I saw, what I was shown, where I had been. He listened without interrupting, and when I finished, he leaned forward, his eyes filled with tears, and he said something I will never forget. "Shayla, God did not bring you back to stay silent." That conversation changed everything. 2 months later, I stood in front of my church and I shared my testimony for the first time. My hands shook, my voice cracked, I cried through half of it, but I told the truth. I told them about the screens, about the souls trapped in what they once called harmless entertainment, about the voice that said I could not serve two masters. And when I finished, the altar was full. Young people, adults, families, people I had known for years came forward weeping, confessing the same struggle, the same secret habits, the same compromise. They deleted apps right there in the service. They made commitments to guard what they allowed into their minds. And for the first time since I came back, I felt the weight lift. God had not brought me back to condemn people. He brought me back to warn them, to wake them up, to show them that the entertainment we consume is not neutral. It shapes us, it trains us, it prepares us for eternity, one way or another. In the months that followed, people started reaching out. Messages on social media, emails, phone calls, strangers who had heard my story and said it convicted them. A woman from Dallas told me she had been binge-watching the same shows I mentioned. She said she felt the Holy Spirit tell her to stop, but she kept ignoring it. After hearing my testimony, she broke down and repented. She said she finally understood that what she fed her spirit mattered. A man from Atlanta messaged me saying he was a worship leader, just like I was a teacher, and he had been living the same double life. He watched things in private that he would never admit in public. He said my story saved his life, because he realized he was on the same path I had been on, and every time someone reached out, every time someone told me they had made a change, I remembered the voice in that place. You will warn them. I started teaching again, but differently now. I do not just teach children about Jesus anymore. I teach about spiritual warfare, about guarding your heart, about understanding that Proverbs 4:23 is not just a nice verse, it is a warning. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Everything flows from it. Your thoughts, your desires, your decisions, your eternity. I tell people about Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Not whatever is entertaining, not whatever is trending, not whatever everyone else is watching, whatever is pure, whatever is noble, whatever aligns with the kingdom of God, because what you feed your mind becomes the soil of your soul, and whatever grows, there will follow you into eternity. I also share Romans 12:2 now in a way I never understood before. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The world tells you entertainment is harmless. The world tells you it is just TV, just a show, just fiction. But hell revealed the truth. Fiction shapes reality. What you watch becomes what you think. What you think becomes what you desire. What you desire becomes what you choose. And what you choose determines where you spend forever. I am not the same person I was before March 3rd, 2024. I cannot be. I have seen too much. I know too much. And I refuse to waste the second chance I was given. If you are hearing this, if you are still watching, it is for a reason. Do not ignore the conviction you feel right now. Do not push it down. Do not tell yourself you will change tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised. Examine your heart today. Look at what you are feeding your spirit. Ask yourself honestly, does this bring me closer to God or further away? Does this make me more like Christ or more like the world? And if the answer convicts you, make the change tonight. Delete the apps. Cancel the subscriptions. Guard your mind like your eternity depends on it. Because it does. I am Shayla Renee Thompson. I died for 12 minutes, and I came back to tell you the truth. What you watch matters. Where you spend your time matters. What you allow into your heart matters. Choose life. Choose holiness. Choose Christ before it is too late. Tell me where you are watching from. I want to pray for you tonight. And stay connected. There are more warnings people need to hear.